I am Regina Velez. I am a mom, I'm a pastor, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, and also I work in other areas of my life. And I decided to open a page in Facebook and do this YouTube channel called Open Book. Why Open Book? I chose Open Book because my life is pretty much an open book. Um, because in books you find the wisdom still to this day in paper books. You can find wisdom, you can find ideas. There's books written about absolutely every subject imaginable, and more are to be written. You are a book, I am a book. There's pages in our life that had already been written, and so more that are about to be written. So, open book. My favorite book in the world is the Bible. Doesn't mean I don't read any other books, but the Bible is the book of all books for me. So, open book is about life. Open book is about the things that are in us, inside of us, that some people cannot see. Some people cannot even imagine they are inside of us. We can talk about the things that nobody think about, or that you think about but don't speak about them. So that's part of what open book is all about. I'm a very direct person, and that's part of being an open book. Like when you read a book, the words that are written there are there. Unless you cover them or don't read them, they have meaning and purpose in your life. So I like to read, obviously. I read pretty much everything that touches my hands quickly, and I like to open a book. If you don't open a book, you will not find what is inside the book. And there's a saying about don't judge a book by its cover. That's very true. You need to open the book to be able to have a fair judgment and to have the opportunity to learn who that person is. The same with a book. You read the title and it might interest you or not, but if you read it, you might find treasures in that book. So that's what the Bible is for me. It's the treasure book. I find so many things every time I read it, and about life, about daily life. So I'm going to be talking about the Bible a lot, but not only about the Bible, because I am an open book. So I will talk about things that you may not know I will want to talk about. So you can bring comments, questions, and I will answer them. So today, or at this time, I just want to share with you, I'm a Christian. That means a follower of Jesus Christ. And that is the beginning of who I am, even though it was one of the last things I became. In the beginning, I was born, I was a daughter, etc., etc. My life was running, and I was living my life. And then I had an encounter with Jesus, and I had an encounter with the Bible, and the Bible taught me who Jesus was. That's how I got to know him, and I quite like him. It was a pretty awesome person when I got to read the Bible. The Bible is the story of Jesus in many ways. So I form my opinion by reading the book that becomes the core value of Christianity. Not the books of other people, but the book that is being said is the book about Christianity. So I read the book, I learned about the book, I questioned the book, I contradicted the book with my ideas, and it's been a journey of about 20 years of doing that, like questioning. Every time I read it's like, wow, and applying this book to my life and to the life of others, and seeing how logic this book is. So that's how I became a Christian, and that's how I walk my life as a Christian. And also I have noticed so many ideas of Christianity And this day and age, everybody has their idea what Christianity is. But I would like to talk to you. What is to be a Christian to me? What does that mean? And it's a follower of Jesus Christ. If you are, if you come from a region of a place like I'm Puerto Rican, that means I came from Puerto Rico. Now I'm a Puerto Rican because I live in Watertown, New York, but I'm Puerto Rican. So that's a term I want to coin that I want people to start saying, but it's not working. So being a Christian to me is to get to this word and see it and receive it and execute it, live by it. And even though people say I am not perfect, and Christian says I am not perfect, so you have to excuse, etc., etc., I think that we are not perfect, but we are to walk in the perfection of the walk of Jesus Christ. So I believe that life is better with Christ. I believe that this book will teach you, guide you, and give you the answers that you're seeking. And that is not a fairy tale, it's a way of living. Absolute peace. And it doesn't mean I don't have troubles, doesn't mean I don't have situations. It means the way I walk these situations because of the faith in this book and Jesus Christ. So, Open Book is about life. Before Jesus, I had a life and I made decisions and I walk in a certain way. And any of you that know me before will say I was a good person, I was pretty cool to hang around, I was a party girl, I was the life of the area we go, I have great friendships, everything was pretty good. Failed marriage, good to me. And but then I found Jesus, and this is who I am today, with what I was before and what I am today. So I want to talk to you about one word that people that serve Jesus and people that don't serve Jesus go to, and we exercise it, and it's called cycles. And this morning I woke up and I'm like, cycle, and then I remember the washing machine. And if you read the washing machine, doesn't matter how advanced it is, it says wash cycle. And a cycle has to be something that is repetitive. That's why we call it a cycle. It's because it happens, and then when you turn the knob of the washing machine again and you put it in normal, you're gonna have exactly the same cycle that you had the last time you put it in normal. And so forth. There's delicate, and there's different types of cycles in the washing machine. I was like, oh my gosh, what a perfect illustration of what a cycle is, and how much we can identify with that. And I was thinking about that, how many times we repeat and repeat and repeat, and we call it obviously process, but it's a cycle because it repeats exactly the same thing. And if you put it in normal, and it's small, it's gonna take the same amount of water, it's gonna wash for the same amount of time, and it's gonna rinse, and then so forth. That's a cycle. So if you never heard the word cycle or didn't know how to identify it in your life, if you look back, you're gonna see yourself repeating, wash, dirty, repeat, wash, dirty, repeat. You put the soap, you do this, everything is repetition. And cycles for some people are good, they think, but cycles is like a bicycle, a stand-up bicycle. What is that called? What is it called, Carlos? Carlos is recording me. What is the bicycle in the gym? What's it called?
Yes, the bicycle.
Okay, a gym bicycle that I cannot do. If you go, you're still going, ooh, and it doesn't matter that it shows you how far you're going. You know, they have the screen, you're not moving. Your body's moving, but you're not moving. So you're not gonna get to another place. So that's a cycle. And it's something that goes around and around and around and around and around. And thinking as a person, cycles just are boring, make you feel stuck because you're stuck. Cycles will always take you to the same place that you departed. Um, so when you think about the cycles on your life, and you try to define them, and you think like, well, I have no cycles. Every single one of us have cycles in our life, and it's important for us to define us. You don't have to be a Christian to define us, but if you're a Christian, it's absolutely, completely essential in your life to define your cycles, because there's cycles of poverty, there's cycles of pain, there's cycles of sadness, there's cycles of not being in complete understanding of yourself. There's so many cycles. So I want to leave to you today that you can identify cycles in your life, that you can, with this illustration of the washing machine, what do you do? What have you done? It could be, a cycle could be between every day, or it could be a span of time. It could be a year. It could be years that go, like every 5 years, this is what I do. And this happens to me, cycles of sickness. And then you start identifying here and there what things are part of your cycle. Let's get the washing machine. You turn the knob in normal, because you look at your clothes and you're like, okay, these clothes are not that dirty, so I'm gonna put them in normal cycle because it doesn't need as much spin. You know, it doesn't need as much motion for the clothes to be clean. So you don't put as much soap because you're like, okay, they don't need that much. So that's the cycle you choose for the clothes that you're washing. If you have delicate clothes, you do the same. You are like, I don't want these to be like mistreated, so I'm gonna put just this specific soap and so forth. That's how we do with life. We take the pieces we have around us and we choose how to manage them. We don't think about it because we're so used to doing it all the time. We don't think about how that happens and how it continue happens. But today, if you listen to what I'm saying, you may be able to sit down and say like, I have a cycle of fighting with my husband or my wife. I have a cycle of my kids. They tell me this, I say this, and then this happens. And it happens over and over and over again. And you get so used to it that it's not something that you can tell because you're in the middle of the cycle. But if you take a step back, think a little bit, it doesn't take that long to think. And you go like, wow. And then you're gonna start discovering the cycles that you have in your life. And you're gonna see how these cycles are, you're gonna be identifying them. You're gonna see like in that conversation, you're gonna see like, okay, I'm conversating with this person, and usually this person says, I have a headache. And then you say like, really? And then you're gonna realize that that person always has a headache. Every time you had a conversation, or often enough, that person has a headache. And you are gonna be able to say, oh my gosh, that's what we talk about, the headache. That's what we talk about, the pain in the back. So there's nothing positive, and there's no remedy for the headache. There's nothing else. It's just, I'm involved in this cycle, speaking about this and so forth. It's such an interesting subject. It's a word that we tend to look at it in a way that is not, don't give the importance that it has. The book that I read, the Bible, speaks about cycle without having to say cycle. And it shows how we repeat and repeat the same mistakes. And you know what the book says? That God has mercy every morning. That's why the Bible says that new are his mercies every morning, because he knows that we go through cycles. But he also has sent his people to identify it. I am here today to give you the opportunity to hear a word that you maybe didn't think about it. And today you would think about it and go like, I have cycles. Some of them are good, some of them are not good. Some of them are destructive. Some of these cycles have me in a position where I don't want to be. And then you can break the cycle. Yes, there's talking about breaking the cycle of poverty. People say about going to school. Well, what if you go to school and you don't do anything with what you went to school for? Then you cannot break the cycle. The cycle of abuse is one of the ones that are easy to identify. It doesn't mean that people are going to get out of it, but if you are able to recognize this is a cycle of abuse, then you have a tool of information that will probably help you move out of that cycle, break the cycle. When we argue, I'm not gonna stay there to get punched. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm not gonna allow my kids to see abuse. I'm not gonna allow the people around me to have to feel sorry for me because I'm being abused. All these things can happen by you recognizing one simple thing as a cycle, because it's a repeat. You can start plucking out people from your life that are part of your destructive cycles. It's okay, you're gonna be okay, because then you can come back to these people if you want to when the cycle is no longer there. So the people are not the cycle, but what you do with the people are the cycle. You want to break the cycle. That's what you need to do. Break the cycle, not the people. Let's call this an introduction of the word cycle, because I know I talk a lot. But I just want to plant in your head or present to you the idea of paying attention. Pay a little bit more attention. This time that we live is so consuming for the outside that we're forgetting the inside. So everything that is happening around us is taking our time and our space. I read a quote in Facebook the other day, 2 days ago, and I share it because it says, this is for Christians, but even if you're not a Christian, this is for you too. If the devil cannot make you do things, so, do bad things, he will make you busy. You are so busy in your cycles that the cycles are taking over you. And one thing that attracted me to Jesus is that he empowered me. He gave me the power to think, to make decisions, and to say I have alternatives. And the alternative is I make the decision. So when you start discovering the cycles that are around you, you are being spinning around, you're deciding when you go to the store. I study marketing, and it's so interesting when you go to the store and you see people, you see yourself grabbing a soda that is $1.98 for 20 ounces when you can spend $1 for 2 liters. That tells me how we are involved in these cycles. And I am a rebel, so I'm like, no, even if I'm thirsty, I'm not gonna buy it because I can wait. So things like that, when you start discovering the cycles around you, you start choosing, I wanna be part of this cycle or not. And that's what Open Book is about, choices. You need to choose. You think you're choosing, but others are choosing for you. So to me, Jesus gave me that opportunity. I chose him, and I'm not here to convince you to choose Jesus. That's my open book. That's my story. But I'm here to tell you the cycles around you, that you are spinning in them, like the watcher, but you are not the one turning the knob. So it's time for you to turn the knob. So discover your cycles and be an open book about it. Have a good day.